The LA Unified School District is really doing some exciting things in sustainability. And in fact, just this week, they published their first report on all of the activities that their Eco Sustainability Office is working on. And we're going to unpack that report. We're going to talk about their achievements. And there's nobody better to talk about that than our guest today, and that is Christos Chrysiliou. He's the Chief Eco Sustainability Officer for LA Unified School District. Welcome back to Go Green Radio, Christos. So glad to have you.
Thank you for having me, Jill. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, congratulations, first of all, on your new position, relatively new position within the school district, the Chief Eco Sustainability Officer of LAUSD. Talk to us about how and when the office was formed and why the district created this department.
Yes, thank you, Jill, and happy Earth Month to everyone. So,
Yes.
so the office as it currently exists right now is still in its early stages. What happened is in this position myself for approximately 18 months. And with that said, we were originally will call this Sustainability Initiatives Unit, functioning under the Facility Services Division, promoting sustainable practices with specific focus areas. Now, under my new role, I report directly to the Superintendent's Office. And this office was created as a new department to elevate and accelerate sustainability by developing and implementing programs and policies that raise awareness of environmental stewardship, and that we can implement sustainable goals set by previous board resolutions, such as the 100% clean energy that was established in 2019, to be able to achieve 100% clean energy by 2040, climate literacy to all by 2025, and green schools for all resolution, setting a goal for 30% green school years by 2035. Then our role got expanded to develop sustainable practices and policies for all LAUSD divisions now. That includes our division of instruction, transportation, procurement, information technology services, food services, health and safety, with the goal of reducing our environmental footprint. And we do that by reducing energy and water consumption and carbon emissions. And at the same time, our ultimate goal is to continue providing a healthy, sustainable learning environments for all of our LAUSD students, Jill.
I love it. And one of the things that's so clear when you go to the website that covers all of the work of the Eco Sustainability Office, and for our listeners, excuse me, you can check that out at www.lausd.org/ESO for Eco Sustainability Office. One of the things I love when I go there is that your strategy is so transparent. The whole community can see what your goals are. They can see, what you're working on. And now because of this report, they can see your progress. So let's dive right into the achievements that are listed in your new report, which, by the way, is as sophisticated and as strategic as any corporate social responsibility report I've ever seen. So congratulations on that. But let's talk about LAUSD's achievements in decarbonization. Talk to us about that, Christos.
Thank you, Jill. And exactly, we wanted to make sure that we have transparency. That's why we developed this report. And so when we look at our decarbonization, the first thing that we did was to make sure that we establish a baseline. So we established a baseline of what our production was in terms of carbon emissions, and that was about 100,000 metric tons in 2019. And we did that. We chose that year because it was pre-COVID, and we wanted to make sure that we have a baseline year. And that was actually in line with the Department of Energy's goal that we established, that we're going to be able to reduce 50% of our greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. So as we started measuring that, and we looked at exactly how we've based on our baseline of using approximately or emitting approximately 100,000 metric tons of carbon emissions, we then looked at that and we started tracking down our emissions. And what we did is through the different programs that we're able to identify, we reduced our emissions by 23% over the next 5 years. And that's approximately about 22,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide that we're able to reduce. And now we're moving forward to even do additional reductions. And we do this by having different strategies and different initiatives in place. For example, the first thing that we do is to reduce our electricity consumption. We had approximately about 13% reduction from another baseline that we set up in terms of electricity. And we did that by different programs like the direct install program that we have with the Department of Water and Power, which replacing fluorescent fixtures with LED or smart control systems, occupancy sensors, and so forth. And we did this by increasing our renewable energy usage and production by using solar. We have 63 sites right now that we have solar installations, and we're increasing this as we move forward into the future. We're adding another 21 sites to increase our production by another 15 megawatt. And then we look at that by electrifying some of our building systems, such as our mechanical systems, water systems, um, mainly to heat pump technology. And we do that methodically by updating our specifications to ensure that we have a plan in place to achieve our 2040 goal. And also, we're engaging our students. I would say our students are our biggest strength in terms of engaging them into the process through climate literacy, by bringing educational programs to them to help support us to be able to minimize our consumption.
You know this, and I think that a lot of our listeners know this. My nonprofit organization, the Go Green Initiative, has been working with school districts throughout the country since 2002. And I do not hear very many talking about reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Talk to us about why this is so important to LAUSD.
Yeah, it's extremely important because reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, it's very important. It's primarily for us the paramount sustainability goal here at LAUSD, because it is the main driving factor in man-made climate change. And we're seeing all these impacts that we're all experiencing today. Specifically in California, we're seeing a lot of extreme weather conditions, including tropical storms, flooding, air pollution, drought, heat waves, and most recently, our extreme fires that we had to experience with at the Palisades and Altadena areas. And those are just some of the impacts that we're experiencing. And that's why our Board of Education recognized these impacts. And that's why we passed the 100% clean energy resolution, which identified two overarching goals for the district, and especially for our office to address these challenges. Those were the 100% clean renewable electricity by 2030 and 100% electrification in all sectors, including transportation, HVAC, water heating systems, ground service equipment by 2040.
hmm hmm Talk to us because I mean, just to give our listeners a idea of the scope of LA Unified. I mean, it's the second largest school district in the U.S. You've got upwards of 13,000 buildings, probably more, about 1,270 schools, and you serve over 600,000 students. I mean, this is just a huge amount of real estate to manage these kinds of, activities across. But how is it that you have become more energy efficient? What are some of the tactics that you're using to reduce your base load?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jill. So we're taking an all-in approach, I would say, more than anything else. And what that means is that we're working internally through our specifications to update them to make sure that we have better solutions in terms of creating more efficiency on our schools. So I mentioned earlier about some of the heat pump technologies and that we're applying into our specifications to make sure that when we plan and design projects, we use those type of technologies. But we also look at internally with our other departments and also external partners. We're working with LADWP, for example, through different types of agreements to increase efficiency on our schools. And we know that we have common goals that we're trying to achieve. So through that collaboration, we're able to develop additional programs. Some of the major impacts that we're making into that is it is some of our LED fixtures that I mentioned earlier and some of our
hmm
controls, but we're also installing solar panels throughout the entire district, meaning we just passed a project that we're going to be installing those 21 in 21 sites, we're going to be installing about 15 megawatt. And it's important
Wow.
for us to continue installing more as we move forward because that gives us great savings to the school district.
Just a quick question on that, Christos. I mean, are you engaging like teachers and students in behavior modifications to reduce energy consumption as well? Do they get involved?
Exactly, we are. Actually, we do encourage behavior changes amongst our student body through climate literacy programs, that because they help us really
Hmm.
reduce our energy consumption by unplugging devices or turning off lights when no longer in use, and they really understand better some of the challenges that we have, and they help us along the way. And I would say
Hmm.
probably we're seeing, at least I would say, I look at the overall consumption that we have, approximately about 10 to 20% is through behavior changes, is through
Ah,
educating our students to help us out achieve those. And some of those programs, Jill, actually, we that I just mentioned, we engage our professionals to come out and share with our students, and our students to learn about solar production, to understand about solar installations, to understand about EV charging. So we develop future career pathways for them as well.
that's awesome. You're training your replacement one of
Yeah.
these days. Now, one of the things that jumped out to me, and this is probably really wonky, but you were able to electrify 100% of your ground services equipment. So we're talking about leaf blowers and I mean, like all that stuff. I can't imagine how much equipment that is for a district the size of LAUSD. How did you pull that off?
Yeah, it actually took a lot of planning. I always say, plan ahead. So it was about 5 years ago when we first start discussing how we're going to be able to implement our electrification of our equipment. And certainly, we've working with our maintenance and operations within facilities, we're able to identify all the different types of equipment that they were using: handheld trimmers, edgers, shears, blowers, push and ride on mowers, and we started that process, and we engaged the what's called the American Green Zone Alliance to help us with their expertise and help us with the process to replace these devices through workshopping, and charging infrastructure. And certainly they were a great help through the process. And at the same time, we were able to identify funding, and we worked with our South Coast Air Quality Management District, who provided approximately about $1 million in rebates for trading the old gas powered equipment and being able to get new electric. So
Wow.
that was a great strategy for us, and that helped us tremendously to replace approximately about, you mentioned devices, about 2,100 devices that we're able
Wow.
to replace through that collaboration between internal and external entities. And I'm proud to say that through that, we improve our air quality. As you know, gas powered equipment do not have
Yep.
any catalytic converters, and they release more harmful pollutants in the atmosphere. So we're able to reduce noise on our campuses. We are able to make sure that the lead and fuel that we're able to save by removing it from using it in the past, and remove approximately about 898 metric tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere.
That's
So
brilliant. Wow. That's huge. I mean, your report is full of amazing accomplishments, but that one really got me. Because I know what other communities are going through to try and electrify their ground services equipment. So I was just like stunned that you guys were able to do it. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we have much more about the sustainability achievements of LA Unified School District. Don't go away. There's more Go Green Radio right after this. Welcome back to Go Green Radio, everybody. So glad you could tune in because our guest today is talking with us about a brand new report that LA Unified just published this week. It's their first eco sustainability report. And if you want to check it out, please get out on their website at lausd.org/ESO for Eco Sustainability Office. And there you will see their first report. And our guest today is Christos Chrysiliou, and he is the Chief Eco Sustainability Officer for LAUSD. You touched on this a little bit in our last segment, Christos, but I want you to dive deeper into some of the achievements that LAUSD has enjoyed around climate literacy this year. Talk to us about that goal.
Thank you, Jill. And I strongly feel that the key to the future of our planet, it is empowering our youth as well-informed environmental stewards to safeguard the health and wellness of all living things. And that's the mission of our climate literacy initiatives. And that is backed by the resolution that passed in 2022. So we made some foundational progress towards developing climate literacy programs across the district in collaboration with the Division of Instruction and other partners that we're able to collaborate with to develop a climate literacy task force. And we did develop this climate literacy task force with representatives from the Division of Instruction, from the Division of Adult and Career Education, from our Facility Services Division, Transportation, Health and Safety, and also our United Teachers of LA representatives. And we did this in collaboration, and we're able to identify and learn a lot about our current practices and what we should be doing moving forward. We're actually going to be presenting the recommendations from this task force committee at the next month's Greening and Climate Resiliency Committee meeting. And I'm excited to share what we learned through that process because really it was a quite exciting journey that we took all of us together, learning from each other, asking questions, visiting sites, seeing some great examples that we've seen climate literacy at its best on some of our school sites. And the idea is, how do we duplicate this? How do we be able to take it throughout our entire school district? And then we have other programs that we develop to engage our students in. For example, we have right now over 73,000 students that were impacted by climate literacy education programs like our Heroes for Zero program, our Empower Schools program, Magenta House, and Climate Action Clubs, just to name a few. And then we have over 67,000 students that participated in LAUSD outdoor educational programs. And we have opportunities for them to participate in some of our outdoor educational programs like the Clear Creek centers that we have, the Canyon Creek, Point Fairmont Outdoor Education Centers, as well as some of the field studies and programs through the Day of Discovery that we have. So, and we did this by also having what we call the Climate Literacy Champions. The Climate Champions, it's an initiative that we started a few years ago. We have approximately, 34% of our schools, approximately around 315 climate champions that we have on our schools. So each school has a climate champion that helps support, deliver some of the content and share the content within their schools. So we're excited with our youth engaging into these programs.
I love it. Oh, that's so exciting. I mean, I would love to do a whole show with you and your team on the findings of your climate literacy task force. I'd love to hear more about what you learned. That's incredible. Your report also details achievements under a heading that you call campus greening, and I want you to tell us what you mean by campus greening and describe some of the accomplishments for the past year.
Certainly, and campus greening, it's great because to me, we focus a lot of our efforts in the building, but we looked at campus greening now from a different perspective. And when we refer to campus greening, Jill, we refer to exterior areas that they are within the schoolyard that offer recreational, ecological, and educational value by incorporating natural elements like in-ground planting, grass mulch, and permeable surfaces. And we do this, we kind of look at these spaces, and these are the usable spaces that the students can actively be able to use on the school year, right? And we do this by replacing paved surface, paved surfaces like asphalt surfaces with permeable surfaces, to incorporate native and drought-tolerant planting areas, isolation of trees to provide shade, to provide new grass fields where is needed, to create new school gardens, and to incorporate features that reduce the heat island effect. And the goal in mind is to promote mental and physical health while promoting also the well-being of our students. And I'm fortunate to say that right now, as we move forward, through a goal that was established in 2022 to convert 30% of our playground usable space district-wide to permeable green space, we're making great achievements. We're seeing that we have over 108 sites that have achieved that 30%, and we have over 150 projects in planning, design, and construction, with an estimated value of approximately $500 million to help us get closer to that goal. And we do this, some of the examples that we do, just to give you some examples, we're replacing asphalt with edible gardens. We use rain gardens and biospheres. We use outdoor learning gardens. We use permeable walkways, like utilizing decomposed granite. We use a lot of native drought tolerant landscaping in our designs, and also a lot of areas that kids can come together and be able to have a social interaction, like sitting areas and other areas that are conducive to learning.
I love it. And I'd love for you to dive a little bit deeper into how campus greening benefits the students. You touched on it a little bit, but tell us more about why this is so good for the kids.
Yeah, so replacing asphalt with gardens, like those I mentioned earlier, enriches the playgrounds of LAUSD by providing healthy, sustainable learning environments. And what I mean by that is that pretty much when we look at nature-based playgrounds, they provide a wide range of benefits, including student engagement at all levels. They do improve the mental health and well-being by reducing stress and anxiety and depression. It improves the mood of our students and improves focus and mental clarity. We have several studies that showed how they improve the academic performance. They're much better for physical health because we see a lot of our students engage in different types of activities, and we see that social interaction in our schools. They
I
do
love
provide a
that.
lot more environmental awareness and responsibility. Not to mention that when we do this, Jill, is that every tree that we plant is directly helping us to combat climate change by absorbing carbon dioxide emissions. So um, they're great spaces, and they also help us capture and infiltrate water to recharge our local groundwater systems that are so valuable in such a changing climate that we have today.
What I love about, what you're describing and the way that your plan is mapped out is that campus greening is part of a larger strategic plan. I mean, when you talk about some of the water benefits, which we're going to talk about in a minute, I mean, I've seen a lot of school districts only focus on schoolyards and school gardens, and it's not really part of a bigger plan. And LAUSD has been so thoughtful and so purposeful in making, all of the work that you're doing so clearly integrated and part of a strategic plan. It's a very brilliant way of approaching this. So my hat is off to you. Um, Speaking of water stewardship, I want you to talk to us about the district's accomplishments this year in water stewardship and tell us a little bit about why this focus area is so important, especially in your region of the country.
It's extremely important, Jill. And if we have experienced a drought several years ago, and it impacted a lot of us, and we saw the changes that we had to do, and how we tried to adjust our lifestyles based on those changes. Actually, I was fortunate enough to take a trip to see a trip to Sacramento to look at the actual Sacramento River, the Soaquin River, and how they feed uh, our water down to the our region, and I was
Hmm.
quite impressed. And that's why for us, when we look at what it takes to bring water to our region and the impacts of water, we've really put a lot of focus into this. And that's why we're so proud to say that we reduce our water use within the school district from a 2014 baseline that we established down to 28%. And
Wow.
a lot of water because we're using about 2.5 billion gallons of water. So picture that 500 million gallons of water that we're able to reduce. So that's enough to fill over 1,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So we're
Wow.
very, very proud of that. And we do this by utilizing recycled water now. We're using this by making sure that we use a lot of drought tolerant planning. We have about three recycle projects, and we're adding another five as we move forward. And then we continue to do this because we know that we've had in California, as you know, three federally declared drought disasters. So
Mhm.
we need to be better stewards of our water systems and come up with solutions that can help support all of us, within the region.
Yeah, and it's such a tremendous recognition on the part of LAUSD that you are a big community consumer of water, of energy, and that any savings, any conservation that you can achieve benefits the entire community. And speaking of that, I know that every time it's rainy season, in the winter, we talk about a lot of water in California that ends up, just rushing right out to the ocean. Talk to us about some of your stormwater capture projects and how this benefits the school district and the community at large.
Yeah, something that we've established and we've been following as a school district is to capture the first inch of any rainwater storm. And we do this, and depending on the actual soils, the conditions that we have on our school sites, we try to make sure that, if we have to, we do install different types of stormwater capture, like we've installed infiltration tanks or galleries at our school sites. And, we have one that we recently installed at the Venice High School, for example, and we have another six new projects that we're having in construction. And we do this because these stormwater captures, they will be able to capture the water and release the water slowly at a very slow rate. And it helps recharge our local aquifers that we really need it. So it's important that we do that because it's one of the things that our city has in planning to be able to increase our local groundwater systems so we can be able
Mhm.
to utilize more as we move forward into the future to be a more resilient city.
Brilliant. And I know that all of the utilities in the LA region appreciate your help in this because it's a big concern for LA. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we have so much more about the sustainability achievements of LAUSD. So don't go away, folks. There's more Go Green Radio right after this. Welcome back to Go Green Radio, everybody. Our guest today is Christos Chrysiliou, the Chief Eco-Sustainability Officer for the second largest school district in America, LAUSD. Now, in the last segment, we were talking, Christos, about how you're working to green the exterior parts of your campuses, but you're also trying to, really maintain some great water stewardship. How do you balance your goals between, campus greening and water stewardship?
Yes, and Jill, these are very complementary to each other. I would say that when you develop green spaces, you're capturing more water. So the idea is that as we remove some of our uh, asphalt spaces that we have on our campuses, we do develop these green spaces. And now we're finding ourselves that we're able to increase our water capture, but also we introduce drought tolerant planting, native plants into our changing climate. So I think it's a win-win situation when you do this, and we do this by installing some of the um, earlier things that I mentioned, like grain gardens, bioswales. We use a lot of the features that can help us to capture and infiltrate um, a lot of this water on our ground systems. And it's a great support to the work that we do. And we do this also, actually, as we move forward, we also test new technologies. Some of the new technologies to help us out, even with Greenscape, is to be able to look at areas that they took more water, just for example, some of the grassy areas that will need some more water, but we're learning through new technologies like hydrogels, for example. These are non-toxic compounds that we can inject into turf roots to help hold, store, and release water in the soil to minimize water usage. So we're applying new
Mm.
principles and new ideas to help us advance our work as we move forward.
And what's exciting to me is that if the students get a chance to see this happening on their campuses and they get a chance to learn about some of these new technologies that the district is working with, I mean, that's a new level of climate literacy in and of itself. Just using the campuses as learning laboratories to teach kids about these principles of water stewardship and to teach them about new technologies. That's so exciting. And I'm sure that as you go forward and you employ more of these technologies and strategies, your climate literacy task force will, be able to capture some of these ideas in curriculum and in learning opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yep. I want to talk about a memorandum of understanding that you're working on, an MOU with the LA Department of Water and Power. Talk to us about what you're working on there and how this partnership might actually serve as a model for other school districts.
Yeah, and let me share that this partnership grew through time, and this is what I call true partnerships and collaboration. So the Department of Water and Power have been very supportive, and I started this partnership over a decade ago, Jill. And it's
Wow.
interesting when we started with some of our MOUs that they were in the range of 10 to 12 million dollars, and now we're discussing an MOU that is over 100 million.
Wow.
And this is a collaboration that we both of us see eye to eye in terms of how we can help support each other, what we should be doing to advance our mutual interests and help support our communities and our schools. And so this new MOU that we're drafting right now, actually it's a new one, but it picks up and follows up the work that we've done on the last one. It focuses on direct install lighting, and that is our replacement of existing light fixtures, the fluorescent light fixtures with LEDs. Educational awareness, it has a component that helps us promote some of the uh, climate literacy programs like the Heroes for Zero that I mentioned earlier or Empowered,
Hmm.
help us promote those campus greening. It has a new section. We've added campus greening this time, climate resiliency and water conservation. So we're continuing to develop more energy efficiency, water conservation through that. And I'm really thankful to the Department of Water and Power for collaborating and working with us and supporting us through this effort. So, and we're seeing a lot of
Hmm.
impacts by this partnership. We're seeing, for example, we expanded our direct install program to benefit another 150 schools as we move
Wow.
forward. And we're seeing in the past an estimated cost avoidance of close to 5 million in electricity costs per year. So
Wow.
it's great to collaborate and see the impacts that we can have when we work with our utility partners. So we're very excited about this partnership and how we're going to move forward in the future with them.
You're really laying down a blueprint for other school districts who may be looking at direct install lighting retrofits and thinking, how will we ever afford this? And those kinds of partnerships with the utilities, like you said, they have needs for energy efficiency within their portfolio. And if you can fill those needs, it's a win-win for you guys to get that kind of support and a win-win for them as they look to, make their service area ever more efficient. So this is just tremendous. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the leadership at the district that's required to do something this big and this strategic. Talk to us about the importance of having the school board and the senior district administrators on board with sustainability.
Joe, that makes all the difference. Honestly, it was something that it was my wish for many, many years, and seeing it becoming a reality and being able to take this position myself and being able to lead, it was really such an amazing impact that we have. And I will say, without the support of our Board of Education and our Superintendent Alberto Cabral, wouldn't be able to do all the work that we have accomplished so far because it takes that leadership to be able to develop these programs, even now at a different level. So we are very lucky to have both our leadership and partnership with our board to be able to be so supportive in the work and even challenging us with some goals and objectives, I would say,
Hmm.
to help support our students because at the end of the day we're here to help support um, our students and we know that our climate impacts are not going to change. They're going to change to become more worse actually. So we have to be prepared to be able to do anything that we can to help support the our climate and more than anything us and our future generations. So it's great to have their support, Jill. So I'm so excited about this.
Let me ask you a follow-up question on that, Christos, because I harp on this a lot in my work with the Go Green Initiative. I'm always talking about the importance of having senior leadership and school board members on board. Talk to us about the difference between having a sustainability plan that lives just maybe in the facilities department versus having a sustainability plan that has the elevated support of senior district administrators and school board members. Describe the difference between those two approaches for us, if you can.
Yeah, if you reside within a facility services or any other services, health and safety or anywhere else, you have competing priorities, Jill. And reality is that sustainability, it's not really the main focus. And maybe rightly so, because I've experienced that myself for a long time, and I try to strive and create new strides by developing new programs, but it's always competing against other priorities. And those other priorities are very important as well. Meaning like, if you have aging facilities, if you have aging systems, your reaction is to repair and make sure that everything is fine, or replace existing asphalt and not being sensitive to several other things that we are looking at it a little differently today.
Mhm.
And so it's an uphill struggle, and I feel for a lot of the people that they still haven't made the transition because I do talk about this with a lot of other people, and I hear their frustration and their challenges that they deal with of having a, a simple single two, three people team managing sustainability within a facility services division. And I would say to me, where I see the impact is to be able to have a direct access and report to the superintendent's office, work
Mhm.
with the board members directly, and being able to have their support and be able to make that change that is desperately needed by developing policy, by being able to develop programs and initiatives. So it's a big plus to be able to have yourself at a different level that working not just with facilities but all the other divisions and departments. All of
Mhm.
a sudden you find yourself in a whole different scale. And I think it's a lot more impactful that when you are under a specific division.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and it's great to hear that that has been your experience. One of the things that I wanted to highlight from your recent report is the timeline that's on page 6 of the report. LAUSD started this journey way back in 2003 and has just been building momentum over time. What advice do you have for other school districts that might be early in their sustainability work and want to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, I would say start. We started in back in 2003 with high performance schools, and we learned a lot through that process because when you develop high performance schools, now you're paying attention to the environment. You're paying attention to the users in a different detail. You're not just developing the minimum standard that you have to comply with to pass your project through the state architect. You're now actually thinking about how I can become a better steward of the environment, how I can be able to have better, healthier energy to our school sites, or how do I deal with water issues, or so you kind of look at all the different parts of the building, and you start learning. So engage any way you can and learn, because to me, one of the things that you find through the process, it's actually to learn and being able to when you learn, and that's where education takes place. You help yourself to advance and engage your students, in the process, because for us school districts, that's the reason that we're here.
Hmm.
They're our future, so I want to make sure that at least they're part of the of that voice, because they will tell you their perspective of what they're experiencing as well, and they can help you amplify the results uh, through their collaboration by engaging them into the process, and also helping developing career pathways for them. So to me, it's important that you're able to engage, learn more about our living environment, to understand the surroundings that you're dealing with. And as an architect, I'm very fond in terms of being able to appreciate nature at its finest, and how we're able to minimize our impact. And then you come up with different types of solutions. And you do that by talking with others, or by even collaborating with the different divisions with our school district. For example, myself and Division of Instruction, we came up with some amazing programs through that collaboration of how we can develop programs for our students in our playgrounds by developing different types of activity stations. So you learn and you continue to learn. But I will say more than anything else, be curious about the environment.
Hmm.
Curiosity is a good thing, and continue to develop spaces by learning that can really um, develop a greater impact. Learn
I
from
love that.
others, learn from nature, yeah, and I think you'll be able to do great accomplishments.
Oh, I love that. Well said. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but there's much more right around the corner, so don't go away, folks. There's more Go Green Radio right after this. Welcome back to Go Green Radio, everyone. I am so enjoying this conversation with Christos Chrysiliou from LA Unified School District. I know you are too. One of the things that is highlighted in their new eco-sustainability report that I want to dive deep into because I think this program is so cool. It's called Heroes for Zero, and it's a contest that schools can participate in. And I want to talk to you, Christos, about how you came up with this program to begin with. I have a lot of questions, but that's the first one. Like, what sparked this program?
Joe, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity because this is actually something that really started over a decade ago. And the way that this started actually is um, when I engage and looking at some of the programs that we're trying to engage the Division of Instruction, I attended one of the principals meetings that they had in one of the areas within LA Unified. And what I heard how they were trying to implement science, technology, engineering, and mathematics into curriculum. And one of the speakers talked about the letter A, which stands for art. And from STEM, he was teaching about STEAM, that we have to apply art
Hmm.
to be able to teach about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And that to me I came up with the idea of saying, well, I'm an architect by trade. I was always taught that art, it's a great way of showing and understanding things. And as an architect, a lot of the work that we do, it is actually implements or uses science, technology, engineering, and math to be able to do this. And I came up by saying, well, what if we use the building as a learning lab for our students. So then, I was trying to establish a program and working with the Division of Instruction. I was thinking of the word heroes because our students are our future heroes. And I said,
Hmm.
well, what if we take that word and coming up with a different understanding of or explain it, different activities to be able to engage our students in the process by really applying science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So we took the word heroes and broke it down into 6 different elements. We took the letter H for health and wellness, E for education, R for organizing partnerships, O for optimizing performance, E for energy efficiency, and S for sharing best practices. And that was done in such a way that because we wanted to help our students understand the impacts of the actual work that they were going to produce for us, and in with a whole understanding that they're going to come back and provide us with solutions. And this was supposed to be videos because I wanted to make it fun for them. So how they can reduce demand for energy, how they can maximize energy efficiency, how they can utilize the renewable energy. So it was a lot of a lot of it was energy focused, and the
Hmm.
idea was to get them to engage them in the process, to be able to address those 6 areas that I just mentioned,
Hmm.
because I wanted to make sure they do understand how things function. They do look at the building as a building lab, being able to look at the systems, and being able to come and showcase what they're doing in their schools, and then not just their schools, but also their communities. And to me, that was what was very important to be able to help support this effort. And I was very proud to see the outcome because we're seeing right now how many students are engaged, how we collaborate through the process, how we celebrate them, and we're also giving them an award for the winners of the contest. We're giving 25,000 to the top 3 schools, and five
Wow.
thousands to schools that they become finalists in the contest. So, and we engage over 40, 50. We have 50 schools that submitted this year. We're going to be celebrating them next month at the Board of Education. That we bring our board members and our superintendent to celebrate them for the work that they do because they truly deserve. If you go and see some of the work that they're doing, Jill,
Hmm.
it's amazing.
It is. You can see the videos, on your website, and it's amazing what they have come up with. And I love this contest. I have to ask because everybody out there is going to say, "Where'd you get the prize money?" So, who's your sponsor, and
Yes.
how'd you manage that?
So this is part of the educational awareness, and I made it part of the LAUSD, LADWP MOU. So I'm working with the Department of Water and Power. They're
Hmm.
supporting this contest. They love the idea. They're a part of it. They're part of the jury when we select the winners, and it's great to have their support. So the money comes out of the MOU that we have the agreement that we have with the Department of Water and Power, Jill. So
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, give us a rundown of what the schools need to do in order to enter the contest. You have a few steps that are required that they have to do. Run us through that list of requirements.
yeah, so what they do is first we spread the word out to them so they know through our
Hmm.
different methods that we have on our website, through the Division of Instruction. We share that the contest is open up again. It usually happens early in the year, the school year. We then ask them to log in and look at the requirements that they have to comply with in terms of to be a part of the contest, register themselves, and then they go ahead and start on their project. We now provide them with the support that they need. If they have any questions or support, we'll do that. And typically, a teacher at their school, we select, we work with a team of students, or they could have different teams, but then they will select a team that will represent the school that
Hmm.
they're able to feature in those 6 areas: the health and wellness, education, partnering with others, optimizing performance, energy efficiency, sharing best practices. They have to do a short video of 3 minutes
Hmm.
and a presentation that they send to us. And we've given them a timeline to send this to us by the first quarter of let's say, of this year. By March, we want to have them so that we can be able to review them and then select the top winners, and then we celebrate them at an event that we have at the board meeting.
Well, and one of the requirements that I think is so cool to have students involved with is creating an energy conservation plan that includes each of the six categories that, are under the word heroes that you mentioned. And having students involved in creating an energy conservation plan really elevates their understanding and their own personal confidence in creating plans like this. I mean, that's such a 21st century workplace skill that the students are learning at a young age. That's a really innovative way of getting them engaged.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm really proud of this because it really, I think it picked up national attention because as we were sharing this contest, a lot of other school districts started implementing, and it's nice to be able to see it of how we
Mhm.
can develop fun, exciting projects to learn about the environment. Because I really say when I say heroes, these are true heroes to help us get our buildings to zero energy. And the idea is, I mean, heroes for zero it is that they're the future heroes. If you look at the actual um, information that I sent out, it does have the background of the city with the hero image because these are the true heroes that they're helping our environment. They're supporting us on creating a better climate. So engaging them through fun games like this, I think it's great. And then they'll be able to win money that then can then use that money for a sustainability project at their school, which to me,
Yeah.
again, that's another win-win situation because we're seeing them helping supporting their school at the same time and supporting the environment.
Well, and they've been the ones creating this energy conservation plan, and then that funding can be used to support that plan. That is just a full circle, very satisfying effect that you're providing for these schools to see them earn the money to actually enact their plans. And the good news for everybody who's listening is that you can do this without even thinking. You can just replicate it right off of Christos's website. And again, if you go to lausd.org/ESO, as in Eco Sustainability Office, everything you need to know, everything that we've talked about today is linked there. Christos, I am so thankful that you were able to join us today. I'm so thankful to all of our listeners who joined us today. I'm just so excited to see other school districts take your example and run with it. This was amazing. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Jill.
And
And,
to
and
all of
Jill,
our, yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to share, again, thank you for having me. Great program. And my message to everyone is don't just hope for change. Be innovative and act and be that change. So take action because we need all of us to be able to work and collaborating together because we need to have a great, safe climate for all of us. So thank you for having me, Jill.
Brilliantly said, and you're spot on. Thank you, Christos. And thank you to all of our listeners who joined us. We'll be here same time, same place next week with more Go Green Radio. Until then, have a wonderful